I know that a lot of people have visitation dreams and then they wake up and they're like, I got a message, or maybe they're just okay, or I need to do something. I want you to tell me how important those dreams are to that person and to take it seriously and like what should they do with that? Hi everyone, I am Julie Edmonds, your host of Channeled, tapping into the wisdom of your soul. And welcome to Channeled, tapping into the wisdom of your soul. And I am honored to have the beautiful guest, Pamela Cummins. She is known as the grandma of dream interpretation. She's spent over 3 decades turning your nighttime messages into daytime wisdom. She has a unique blend of psychic gifts, and she has an expertise in dream interpretation. I'm super excited to talk to her today. She's authored 8 books and created 4 oracle decks. Pamela helps turn your dreams into clarity, and she helps us access life direction, deep intuition, and ignite a personal transformation. And I know she does a lot of online classes and courses. Pamela, I'm so excited to explore how our dreams are interpreted. So, how are you?
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
And for that really nice introduction. I just have to warn you that Jeffrey is here with me, so he might come in front of the camera. And as soon as I said that,
all all animals are welcome.
okay,
They give us
wonderful.
messages too, right?
Oh yeah.
So Pamela, tell us a little bit about how you got into dream interpretation. Like what inspired you?
Honestly, my personal and spiritual growth is what got me into it. When I started working on myself back in November of 1989. I sound so, makes me feel so old when I say that.
Wise, very, very wise.
I'm young at heart. And I've always remembered my dreams, but like many people, I didn't really think they meant much. And they were actually, some of them were very funny and they still are. But what I noticed was that my dreams were giving me messages of how to heal. They started giving me precognitive messages, and precognitive dreams are dreams of the future in case nobody knows. And I
Yeah, so I want you to explain everything in layman's terms. So some people will know, some people won't. So if feel free to define anything. I'd love to hear.
mean, I found them fascinating. I just had this inner knowing that I needed to study and look into them. And they actually brought out my psychic abilities. It was kind of wild how that happened because, again, I got a lot of dreams about the future, a lot of just intuitive hits about people and situations in my life. And I started following that direction. And then before I knew it, it was like my subconscious was like, okay, she's comfortable with the dreams. Let's bring it out in her waking life.
Okay, let's stop right there because you just said a lot. So do you remember your dreams every single night? Did it just start happening where you started taking more, I don't know, you started paying more attention to them and
I think it was a combination of both. Okay. I mean, I always remembered them, but not every night. But when I started healing myself, I want to say it was like my higher source, higher self was like, you need to remember them. And I was writing them down a lot.
and how did you heal yourself? So you're saying I started healing myself. Take us through that.
Oh, I didn't do it by, okay, let me clarify that. I certainly didn't do it by myself. Okay. First of all, I would like to say my higher source or the great I am, goddess, God, whatever you want to call, was a big important part of that. I was in therapy in the beginning. I was in therapy. I went to 12-step groups. I did a lot of journaling. I had spiritual advisors. So we need others. It's not just myself. I want to say that all these help heal myself.
Well, I agree. There's tons of modalities, and obviously, when you're having your dreams, you're tapping into your highest self, your wisdom, your I ams, all of those things. So, let's say they're giving you these messages. Can you give us an example of something that you remembered, like maybe in the beginning, that just sparked, like, wow, hold on, I remember this dream, and this is what it led to.
Absolutely, because and it popped into my mind. I had a dream where I lived where I was at my old house where I grew up, okay? And just to give you an idea, it was my house was up on a hill. There, you walked up a few steps. There was a like slate platform, and then you walked up a lot of steps, probably like 12 steps. It was an old Victorian house. And in the dream, I was outside on the porch and I was raking tons of leaves and then like the view went down the stairs and then it went all the way down the sidewalk. And intuitively, I knew that I had a lot of cleaning up to do.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So
Internal
that was,
cleaning too, right?
oh yeah, it was definitely, I mean, even when you clean your house, like today, you clean your house, there's something you feel better because it's almost like you're cleaning out energy out of you.
Oh, totally. A decluttering. I had a feng shui specialist on here and she told us all about like outside world is an example of the internal world.
Right.
Okay, this is so fascinating. So I've dreamed a lot about the house I grew up in. I'm several times a week, I'm back in my bedroom, my little girl bedroom, or I'm in my home. And one thing I've identified with my home is inside my soul. And so whatever's going on. So it sounds like you're saying that when you're back into those dream homes that you remember, it's sort of like you're looking inside of yourself.
I'm looking inside of myself, but sometimes, depending on the kind of childhood you had, and I'm not ashamed to say mine was very dysfunctional. Okay. I believe I chose those to help me grow. Okay. And I want to say that I'm going to be generous. 95% of the population has dysfunction. Okay.
Oh no, I believe I'm certified in hypnotherapy.
Um,
Everybody, everyone has something.
right.
Everyone.
But yeah, but for me, going back there, I had stuff I needed to clean up, my childhood issues. Okay. Whether it was with others or within me, that's why I believe we, go back into our history.
Nice.
Because now if I dream of that house, there's no leaves. It's much cleaner. Do you know what I mean?
You do, because obviously this is great for people to understand. You had it before and after, like you dreamed there's leaves everywhere, you need to rake it. And so that to you is like, I need some cleaning up, I need some healing, I need some trauma therapy or whatever it was for you. What did you do? And then suddenly you have this dream that's showing you confirmation that, hey, this is not a thing anymore.
I honestly back then I was in a lot of therapy. I went to group therapy. I went to individual therapy. I was in 12-step. I journaled, I wrote it. I did a lot of crying. I read a lot of books. I just worked really hard on myself. Right. This was in the 90s. And this is my personal belief, our healing has sped up, after 2012, and I want to say 2020, the energies are changing. So I believe we heal faster. But as an indigo child, because I believe I'm an indigo child, okay. And back then,
But look, can you explain what that means, indigo child?
okay, sure. An indigo child is someone who was born before the 50s, probably the 40s, there's different timelines on that. So I'm going to say it can be anywhere between like the 20s to the 70s, okay, where people were born to help change mankind's thinking, I could say, to bring us into a higher level of spirituality. I mean, think of the hippies in the 60s. Okay. Yeah, like they were like really, as they say, far out, man. I mean, people, they were against the rules and regulations that mankind had established. Okay. I was born, I'm not ashamed, in 1962. Okay. So there's a part of me that's a rebel at heart that wants to change things, that doesn't believe in a lot of the man-made systems.
No, I,
You know,
I agree with you. No, totally. So you're explaining indigo child. I have a lot of young entrepreneurs that I work with. And so if they're looking to tap into their dreams and really, really connect with their psychic abilities, where should they start? What's like the first step?
Um, okay. Well, one thing they have to remember their dreams, okay, so that there's intention. And that's in with your psychic abilities.
So can you do that before you go to bed? Can you say, I want to remember my dreams? Like, is there certain like something that they can do versus just, oh, I hope I remember my dreams?
All right. One of the things that I say is find some kind of dream journal. Okay. Whether that's an app on your phone or pen and paper or, maybe a recorder, whatever makes them happy. Have it on your nightstand. If you don't have a nightstand, put it, by your bed. Okay. Wherever your sleeping area is, have it there. I think of it like if you wanted to go and work out at the gym, you pack up your bag and you might put it by the door so you don't forget it. Okay. Having that will give you your subconscious mind the intention, hey, I'm going to remember my dream.
And so
Okay.
then you suggest as soon as they wake up, write it down really quickly.
Right. Right. And if they have trouble, because there are people who have trouble recall, that's the number one complaint I hear. Okay. Not that they think that their dreams don't mean anything. Okay. But that they can't remember. So
Right.
before you go to bed, you can write yourself a letter. I will remember my dream. You can say it over and over again. If you pray or talk to your higher self, I will remember my dream. But all this goes back to intention.
Right. Focus follows intention. So, okay, so I love this. So write them down, have a journal, and say out loud, I choose to remember my dreams, good, bad, whatever, because it's going to bring some type of emotion out. Because when I'm having a dream, and mine are pretty vivid, they seem real. Can we discuss, like, I know that sometimes there's just dreams, maybe we're just repairing our brain for the day and I haven't slept enough. But then there's those dreams that are really taking you into this. You feel different, like you just, wow, that was so real. Can you speak on that?
Oh, well, okay. That I'll do my best, okay? There's different types of dream categories. There's environment dreams where, and those are important, okay? Because if there's a fire, right, breaking out, you might have a dream of a fire being really hot and you wake up and all of a sudden it's smoky and you need to get out, okay? Those are important. Then there's the dreams. One of my colleagues calls them smokestack dreams. I call them just, trying to what happened during the day. So if your boss cursed you out and you were feeling angry and you didn't release it, you might have a dream where you're cursing your boss out.
And you feel like if so, you're cursing your boss out in the dream. That's a release, right? It's almost like a healing. You're healing your.
It's a release, it's a healing, okay? But it also could be a solution that not to allow your boss to treat you like that. Like if it starts like yelling at you, say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Please don't talk to me in that tone. Okay. Or you need a new job. Okay. So it could be a solution. Then there's the dreams that they can be precognitive dreams, which again are dreams of the future. Okay. Spiritual chapter dreams, which is an ending of your life or beginning of another life. Okay. And then there's visitation dreams, whether that's a deceased loved one, it could be your spirit guide, it could be angels. Okay. And those have a different feeling to them. Okay.
Okay, can we repeat these? You have environmental dreams, you have smokestack dreams, you have precognitive dreams, you have spiritual chapter dreams, one spiritual chapter ending, another one opening, and then you have visitation dreams. Wow. Okay.
And there's more, okay? But I'm trying to give an example.
Tell us about, so I know that a lot of people have visitation dreams, and then they wake up and they're like, I got a message, or maybe they're just okay, or I need to do something. I want you to tell me how important those dreams are to that person and to take it seriously and like what should they do with that?
Oh, okay. All right, so like we'll go with the visitation dream. Okay, do you want to go like a loved one who's not there?
Mhm.
Again, having it written down is important. I want to say to follow it. Okay, so if a deceased loved one comes in and says, you know, and you feel this feeling of love, and they're like, watch out for your boyfriend. Okay. I'm just making this up. Okay.
I know you are.
But watch out for your boyfriend. Okay. Now, I don't go and confront your boyfriend because he's going to go in denial. Okay. And they might be giving you a warning in the future. What you do is you become aware. And, you know, so you're watching. How do you feel around him? When he tells you something, does it feel real? What are the actions doing? Okay.
I
So
get a lot of visitation dreams, a lot.
yeah. But again, sometimes it's just them saying, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm watching you. I know what's going on in your life.
I had an interesting dream. Well, I've had a lot of them, but this was particularly, I was pregnant, and I had a dream that this giant angel with these dark wings was standing at my front door and walked in upstairs, and they were standing by me with a smaller angel, a little smaller angel. And I woke up almost in the start, like, oh my God, it was so real, and I felt connected. And the next day I had a miscarriage.
Uh,
I'm wondering, like, obviously we can state the obvious, but I'd love to hear what you say about that.
okay, sure. It was like a precognitive dream. Okay, letting you know in a sense, and I'm sorry because I can feel your emotions over this. Okay, letting you know that your child was being taken care of.
Wow.
Okay, that it was going to become an angel, and that it's also always with you. Okay, your child is always with you. It's watching you over. Okay, like a little angel.
Ugh.
Okay.
Yeah, this was years ago, but it's still vivid like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's and and dreams have no time, feelings have no time. Okay. When something
Feelings have no, oh my God, I've never heard that, but that's true. Feelings have no time.
right, right. And grief, it's a process.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a way, this dream was a gift.
Mm.
Okay, because it was alerting you that something's going on. But
I felt the real, I felt that angelic, beings that
yeah,
were there. And, even though, oh, look who I have now.
yeah, of course.
Those listening that aren't watching, we both have cats sitting in our laps now.
The main thing was of the dream was, we want you to know that love and light and angels are always with you and are around you.
Wow.
You know,
Beautiful thing.
that's the main theme of the dream.
So I have everyone has reoccurring dreams, and I think these are probably like normal dreams where you go back to something that you worked with. Like I waited tables forever, and their dreams I go back and I'm like, and this was like 30 years ago, but I'm still dreaming that I'm waiting tables and I can't get to any of them. Or if public spoke a lot in my life, I'm dreaming that I'm at the front of the podium, I'm trying to talk, and it's just disarray. No one's listening. I'm like, hello, and no one's even paying attention to me. And then I have dreams, and I talk to people all the time where they're driving a car and they're pressing on the brakes, but it's just not stopping, or you're in the back seat trying to drive. What do you say about reoccurring dreams?
They happen for a reason.
Yeah.
To get our attention. There's a message there you need to listen to. And if you don't listen to it, and if you don't do it in your life, it's going to keep on.
Well, let's talk about that, because driving and I'm dreaming that my brakes don't work, it doesn't mean we're going to get in a car wreck. It doesn't mean I'm going to be standing in front of people and they're not going to, it's more of an internal dialogue or an internal issue that's going on.
Right. And it might be saying, hey, you need to stop. Basically, you need to stop. You're going too fast, and maybe this is the wrong direction you're going in.
Right. Or slow down, take a break, or trust yourself. You know, I think with the speaking was trusting myself.
Now the table one, that's interesting. I like that one where you can't find who to wait on. And that might be, and I don't know if you still have it, who am I serving?
Oh, I
To
never.
find to serve,
Wow. Okay.
you know?
Well, school dreams. People have school dreams, and
Very common.
I know, and you're like, wait, hold on. I don't even remember that I had this class. I didn't even study for this test, and I'm like supposed to take it, or I can't find my classes.
Right. Or for me, I didn't go to this class at all. I can't,
What is that?
it means basically you're unprepared for something, okay? Or there are new lessons that you need to learn.
So start prepping.
Start prepping, start learning, okay? And I think it's also like you're not going to know everything.
So do you think maybe it's a fear that I'm not prepared and I need to be okay with trusting too?
Right, right. Because sometimes you can prep so much, okay? And I'm not saying to people don't prepare, don't practice, obviously, but you can prep so much. It's like when you overstudy for an exam and then you just freeze up. And sometimes you need to let go. For example, let's use this show, okay? A lot of times a host will send me questions or they want me to send questions and stuff, but we didn't do that. We're just letting go. We didn't really.
We're letting the guides guide us.
Yeah. And sometimes it works out better that way if you don't prepare.
I agree. Well, we're tapping into the wisdom of your soul. That's the name of my podcast here. And so it's important, I feel, that people should learn to tap into the wisdom of their soul and trust. And based on, obviously, we need to prepare for certain things too, but agreed. What about people dream that they look in the mirror and their teeth are all loose or they're falling out? Like that's a common dream.
It's a common dream. And I want to say it can mean different things to different people because if a dentist has that dream, okay, they might be dreaming about a patient that they need to deal with the next day. Okay. All right. But excuse me. I don't want to go with my cat. But it can also mean, that you're losing a part of yourself.
All right. Okay.
Or like you're like maybe and it could be dental issues.
Afraid
Okay.
to let
If
go.
you're grinding your teeth too much, okay, or or that you need to let go of certain things.
Right. So a lot of people are trying to take things literally and like, let's not take that literally. Your teeth aren't going to fall out. What emotionally are you tapped into? What does that mean to you? Right.
Right, exactly, exactly. Look what's going on in your life, okay? And it also could be meaning like you're grinding too hard, okay? So you're thinking too hard about something,
Oh,
okay? So you have to let that go, all right?
What about, you and I spoke before this podcast, like something that drives you crazy, that somebody will have a dream and then they just look it up online to try to find some cookie cutter answer versus tapping into the wisdom of their soul. Like, tell me tell me more about that.
Okay. And I like to compare it to, this is my analogy, is to like learning your ABCs, okay? Sometimes you do need to look at a dream symbol, an app and say, okay, what does this mean? All right. But you can't, it's really hard when the ABCs, you need to learn to put together words and then sentences. Like you're not going to learn your ABCs and write poetry or a short story or a novel. Okay. So they're just kind of like a little guide, but there's so much more to a dream. Okay. As we mentioned before, what's going on in your life? Is it past, present, or future? Okay. What are your emotions in the dream? Okay. Because I'm going to use both our cats showed up. So, and I love cats. So let's use a cat. You hear a cat meow. Okay. Now you go online and you're going to see it's feminine because cats are considered feminine, mysterious, intuition, maybe 9 lives. Okay. But it could mean something different to somebody else. Like if you hear a cat meow and it sounds like your cat that passed, it's a visitation. All right. Or you hear a cat meow, it could be letting you know in the future you're going to get a cat. All right. Or your cat jumped up on the bed and it's an environment dream and is sleeping with you or has an issue.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, okay. Wait. Whoa. So some of them are like literal. The cat's there, and then it's trying to tell you something, or it's emotional, or it's past. You have to be able to decipher which is what. Okay.
Right. Or there's somebody who's really catty. If you don't have cats, somebody who in your life is really catty and like you can't stop thinking about it. You're literally taking them to bed with you because, and they're coming in your dream.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It can be, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That's why when it comes to a symbol, it's just a part of dream interpretation. So don't, and sometimes I'm sorry, but it's like astrology. You can go to so many different astrology sites for the day and for your horoscope, and you're going to get a ton of different interpretations because they're written on based on the person's opinion.
Mm.
Okay. And as you said, sometimes they're cookie cutters. So again, the snake can be transformation, it can be medicine, but what is it to you?
Yeah.
That's what's really important. So as you said, go in and think of what does this symbol mean to you, but how does it, like, what were the actions in the dream?
It's interesting what you're saying too, because someone said, best thought, first thought, best thought, because then we start getting into the logical and trying to interpret it and then go down that whole rabbit hole of what did this mean? And oh my God, and a snake's going to bite me today. It doesn't mean that at all. It could be very positive.
Right. No, but that is true. Usually if you look with it, it's like going to a restaurant and a certain food item jumps at you. Order it, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to regret ordering something different.
Oh,
And that's the same thing with the dream. Looking at it in different aspects.
well, I used to dream. We were talking about animals. Animal dreams are, well, this is not well, you want to call a spider an animal, an arachnoid. I used to dream that I would walk into my room. There's actually my room in my house, when I grew up, and there were these elaborate spider webs everywhere with these giant spiders like just sitting there, and I would freak out like, oh my God. But and I would over and over, and it was just different spiders dropping down on me here. Now, obviously, I'm not going to walk into my room and there's going to be spider webs. And then that's what I did. I looked it up to see what it meant because I was totally like freaked out by it. This is spiritual transformation, but then to your point, look it up and how does that land? And then I started like really thinking about that. And it was more of like a feminine sort of interweaving of my soul, like creativity part. And so when you have a scary dream, it doesn't really mean sometimes you're just scared of something coming, scared of
Another,
power.
I'm sorry, but another way to look at it, since it what happened in your childhood bedroom and there's all kinds of spider, how did your childhood weave your future?
Ooh.
That's another way to look at it.
Oh.
See, and that's why you really need, like when I do a dream interpretation, I do, I won't do like some people like you go on Etsy and they interpret your dream for $20. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because that interpretation, that dream can have many interpretations depending on your feelings and everything else. And that's why I always like to give people at least 2, if not 3 or 4 different interpretations of what your dream can mean.
So Pamela,
This symbol can have many meanings.
I love what you just said, right? If I'm trying to figure out my dream, maybe I look something online to get a start. What should I do? Should I look back and say what has happened in my present, what's happening in my future, and what's happened in my past to sort of figure it out? Or what the message is, or what the feeling is, or what's the transformation?
Sure, that's part of it, okay? I think the most important thing to look at besides the symbols, because people are going to look at that, is your feelings, the action, okay?
Feelings and actions.
Feelings and actions, okay? What's going on in your present? How is it related to your past? How could it be related to your future? And sometimes it's a little story too.
So we're saying, Pamela, that some dreams are just repairing your brain. You got to go to sleep, and it's just repetitive over and over again. And all of a sudden, I'm dreaming that I'm still doing the same thing that I was doing, for 1,000 times today. But other parts, bigger parts, the deeper issues are your highest self, your spiritual, your unconscious self, your guides, your angels are sending you messages, not to take them literally in some cases, maybe, but in most cases, don't take them literally. But let's look deeper into your soul and figure out, based on what you said, feelings, actions, present, past, future, and learn your own interpretations, right? Because I think I've remembered so many of my dreams that there's certain things that pop up. I know what it means now.
Right. Right. And sometimes a symbol can change too.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay. All right. And in one of my symbolisms when I give psychic readings, okay, and this is kind of weird, but like somebody will like turn like the top of a soda bottle with those old-fashioned caps. I'll see that. And with that, to me, when I'm giving a reading is with a twist on it. Okay. That's what it means. But in a dream, yes, it could mean like do it with a twist. It could also mean like don't open that situation. Don't go there. Okay. And it can also mean like, you know, I need to get this message from the bottle. There's a message here.
Oh, message.
I'm just thinking these, yeah, and that's just what's coming to me. So sometimes what you feel in one, well, let's go with the cat again. Okay. So if you have a dream that a cat is in the bed with you, it can mean so many different things. Okay. To a man, it might mean that your girlfriend is really catty in bed, and watch out because she's not to be trusted. Her claws could come out. All right. For me, it's like just an everyday occurrence because I always have at least one cat in the bed with me, more in the winter. Okay. It could also mean that your own cat who passed over is, with you still. So those are just three interpretations. So it's the same, it's the same situation. It's the same symbol, but it means different. So that's why, yes, and again, you do have some recurring symbols, but sometimes they can be different.
So tell me about like dreams where, and I have this often, I know other people do, where you're holding a baby and then I'm like, I keep dropping it, but I'm trying to catch it before it hits the ground. Like, oh my God, oh my God, it's on the ground. I mean, I hear that a lot with mothers.
Right, right. And that could be obviously with a mother, that could be fear of hurting their child or their child getting hurt.
Right.
Okay. But it also could represent like you have a new project that you're fumbling with and it's not going the way that you want it to. Okay. Or you're ready to start something new. Okay. But you're afraid that you're going to mess it up.
Could it be another aspect of yourself where you're just trying to like hold and love and you're afraid you're not loving it, or maybe
Right. Right. Like your inner child. Okay. And it also can be, thank you for saying an aspect of yourself. It could also be an aspect of yourself, like when you're first getting into spirituality. Okay. And you're unsure of it.
Oh.
But basically it's definitely something new, something fragile.
Mm-hmm.
It could also represent the baby, could also represent, and this sounds weird, you want to get a new pet.
Yeah. New beginnings of something.
Yeah, that's usually it. And again, it could be different depending on what your circumstance is.
And so, like, if you're really scared of something in your waking life right now, and it just sort of creates these weird nightmares at night where people are waking up like, oh my God, that was horrible. Ah. Can you speak to like nightmares?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to point out that there are post-traumatic stress disorder dreams where something actually occurred in your life. Okay. I think that's important because there could be somebody, listening, watching right now who is having that, right? And you need the help of a professional. I can't help you with that unless you're working with somebody.
You say this is good for me. This is, even though it there was so much fear or anxiety in that dream, this is good for me. What is it telling me? So I dreamed. No, so this is scary. Like I dream like one time my son was just lost at sea and we just couldn't find him. And it was, and in a dream, it feels so real. Like and it was storm coming in, he was just gone, like out, out, out. And like, imagine the fear that I had when I woke up.
Right. Okay. Of course. And that could be, again, that could have been a past life, that you did actually lose him. Maybe it was a different soul, but it's also your fear of not being able to communicate with them. Like,
Okay.
or, I don't know how old your son is, but especially, the empty nest syndrome, like your son's going away and he's changing, he's going to a different stage. How do I, reach out to him?
Right.
Okay. And intuitively, I'm getting your son loves you. He ain't going nowhere.
No, well, no, he was going through some things in his life and I couldn't help him. And now this
Okay. So there you go. You couldn't
felt helpless.
communicate. He needed to go through that.
He needed find his own way home. Oh my God. You know what? I dreamed this years ago. I'm just getting the interpretation right now. Like,
You know what? That at least you're getting it. Some people never get their lives.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They live in their trauma and in their fear and stuff, and they never grow out of it. And
We want people like yourself. We want to awaken people to know that there's healing out there. There's information, there's trust, there's love. You're guided, you're supported, you're here for a reason. Figure it out. You can take steps forward to move through this space, right?
And I want to say that during it, like the nightmare, okay, let's use it. During it's really scary, okay, but we need to go through these nightmares, whether they're in our dreams or our waking life, so we can get through and get to the light and get to the happiness and get to the joy. When I was working on myself, and I'm hoping that like younger people don't have to go what I had to go through to, heal their stuff, okay? But the reason I got into this is because my life was so much better, right? And still, I go through things, and I'm going to be honest, they really stink sometimes.
Oh, well, life's not the same, but you can feel joy again. You can get to joy.
Right. And when you look back and you see how far you came, you're like, wow. And then you can help somebody else who went through this situation. Nightmares are scary. Life can be scary, but there's so much joy. We live in a world of duality. So we need to feel fear and anger and stuff in order to feel peace and love.
Correct. No, it's true. You can't experience that or even understand what that meant if you didn't. So let's respect for time. Let's move into lucid dreaming. There are times I'm like, wait, I know I'm dreaming, and then I just start doing. I'm back at my restaurant from 30 years ago, and I'm like, wait, hold on. This is not, because I dreamed it so many times. I know this is a dream, and I take the fire hose and just start shooting water all over the restaurant because I can, and I know it's not real. Let's talk about lucid dreaming.
And I have to admit, I am not a lucid dreamer. Okay. I'm not an expert in that. Okay. But I realize that people enjoy it and they like it. And I think it's really cool when you're like, wait a minute, I'm dreaming. I can change this. Okay. And I think that's also symbolic for your life. Wait a minute. I'm in this situation. I can change.
I have control. Look, you are not in control. You are in control. You can make changes. Wow, that's great, Pamela. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is, I actually had a dream one time where I was like, I was like, I'm awake in my dream. Wow, I can fly. So I went to fly, right? And I fell on my bed and I saw myself and I'm like, oh, hey, self, wake up. Self, wake up. And I woke up and I was like, that was weird.
Well, maybe you're having an out-of-body experience.
Yeah. So personally, a lot of people love lucid dreaming. And if that's your thing, go for it. There's a lot of good information on the internet, a lot of good books for it. I know it helps people who have nightmares, or anxiety. My personal belief is, and you can poo-poo this, okay? My personal belief is allow your dreams just to happen because there's a message there,
right?
From your higher self. All right.
Maybe it is I'm trying to control something that I shouldn't be. Maybe that's it too.
That's it. Well, and again, there's always a flip side on the meaning of a dream. But I'm not going to tell somebody not to do some, as long as they're not harming anybody or themselves. If lucid dreaming works for you, great. I mean, honestly, lots of people love it.
Yeah. You brought up flying. So that's probably a common dream for people. I dream sometimes that I can just fly over everybody, look everyone. And then other times I'm like, oh my God, I can't get up. Also running. Like sometimes I'm running, other times I'm like grabbing onto the earth, like trying to drag myself. My legs don't work. I'm pulling myself. And I'm like, why am I dragging myself on the ground? I'm sure that's a common dream for people. And, I guess
Yeah.
based on our conversation now, we could kind of interpret that, but I'd love to hear from the expert yourself.
Okay, well, flying can be like flying above a situation, wishing for freedom. Okay. I mean, in my lucid dream, that's what I was like, oh, I want to be free. Okay. Seeing things from a higher perspective. Those are just three things. And then you sit
You're developing your wings, right?
exactly right. Running. Okay. Running could be, are you running away from something? Or are you running towards
No,
something?
mostly running away in these particular dreams.
Okay. Running away from something. What are you running away from in your life? Okay. And sometimes it might be, depending on your feeling, I need to get out of this situation. This is unhealthy for me. Okay. Or I'm afraid, you know, or I'm afraid to love. It can be different things. Okay. And maybe you need to pick up the pace. So that's an idea. Crawling on the ground. Okay. And depending on your
Dragging myself.
dragging yourself. All right. And maybe, depending on your feeling, maybe you need to get grounded. Okay. There's one way to look at it. And another way to look at it is, why am I dragging my feet in this situation? Okay. Is there a good reason? Is there not a good reason?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Drag, I didn't think of those. So I'm like trying to get either to something or from something. And I have this all the time. I'm just grabbing onto the grass. Like I'm trying to move my legs and my arms. And it's like I just can't do it. So wow, that's interesting what you said.
Right, right. So look at where do you want to go? Is that the right place? Okay. Another thing is like, you can't run into this situation. You need to take the little baby steps, right? And hold on to and maybe hold on to the moment. And again, it can mean so many different things.
Right. And I love what you're saying because it's like, there's no one size fits all, but like I didn't look at the other way. Maybe I needed grounding. Maybe it's not like I'm literally trying to pull myself from I just need to stop and maybe just stay there. Maybe I should just why am I trying to drag myself? Maybe where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so let's talk about real quick, and to wrap up, you've written a ton of books. Are they all dream interpretation? Is it based on psychic abilities? What's your favorite book?
Um, well, my favorite book is my last one, Dream Interpretation for the Mystical Soul.
Dream Interpretation for the Mystical Soul by Pamela Cummins.
Yeah, and it's about the the spiritual dreams, the precognitive dreams, the past life dreams, the visitation from um, your deceased loved ones, using tarot, using yoga. So I love that. I do have two other books on dream interpretation. I am actually working on a workbook for
Oh, wow.
interpretations to help people, but the other books aren't. I started with specializing in love relationships, so I have that. I have a personal book when I stopped dyeing my hair and I allowed my natural hair color to come out. So I wrote a little book on that. And I also have personal growth affirmations.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay, so Pamela, it has been a pleasure having you today. You have dropped some golden nuggets of wisdom. I loved personally this conversation. Where can our listeners find you?
Well, my website, PamelaCummins.com.
So, do you want to spell that?
Sure, it's PamelaCummins.
.com. Okay, and we'll put that all in the information below too.
Okay, and also I'm on Substack. I have two Ponderings from Pamela, an Attitude of Catitude, because I have 5 cats and I'm a crazy cat lady.
Attitude.
And Lincoln is
Okay.
basically though, I'm on
Okay, so PamelaCummings.com, and then you're on Substack, and we'll put all that information in there. So it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us and our listeners today. I hope you guys have the wisdom to interpret your dreams moving forward. And channel tapping to the wisdom of your soul. If you love this, subscribe, tell other people, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, Pamela.